Welcome to Beauty and the Biz. Discover how to grow your practice with effective cosmetic patient attraction, conversion, and retention advice from author, speaker, trainer, and cosmetic practice business and marketing coach, Catherine Maley, MBA.
Hello. My name is Catherine Maley, and I want to welcome you to this masterclass called Cash Paying Patients on Autopilot Without Advertising or Discounting. Now, you should find this very informative and thought-provoking, since you'll hear some different perspectives you may not have considered. Now, I know most presentations like this start out with lots of banter and fluff, and we talk about the weather, but I want to respect your time, so let's jump right in. I'd like to begin with who this is for. So just to be sure we're on the same page, I want to be specific about who this is for, and that is cosmetic practices as well as med spas who offer surgical and non-surgical procedures. That means you cater to only cash-paying patients. Now, why is that important, you may ask? Because it's very difficult to be profitable in aesthetics when you're torn between patients with an insurance card and those with a credit card. Now, the insurance patients will take up all of your time as well as your staff's time, so we are focused on only cash-paying patients. They're worth way more to you, and there's no insurance forms or regulations to hassle with, so that's where I like to focus, and I'll bet you do too. Now, this is for you if you've been struggling to increase your income, or you want to stop the yo-yoing revenue from month to month that keeps you up at night because you're anxious about covering your overhead. Now, if any of this rings true to you, you're in the right place. And whether you've been practicing for decades or just a couple of years, either way, this is for you. Okay, so let me tell you what we're going to be covering. In the next approximately 45 minutes, I'm going to show you how to 10 times your revenues using the resources you already have without wasting time and money on advertising, discounting your services, or performing on social media to gain followers. Now, this came about because I watch so many practices advertise specials, and I get it. You're trying to attract new cosmetic patients, but that hurts your profit margins. And typically, these patients are those price shoppers who nickel and dime you to death. And then social media has become a very popular patient attraction strategy. However, when done right, it takes a ton of your own personal time because prospective patients want to see, hear, and watch you. That's what keeps them engaged. So now you're not only the service provider, but you're also the marketer as well as the social media influencer. So we'll talk about how to increase the number of cosmetic patient visits, referrals, reviews, and shares on social media in a fun way so your existing patients enthusiastically grow your practice or med spa for you. Now, the key word here is existing patients, because obviously they're your lowest hanging fruit and the fastest, cheapest, easiest way to more revenues because they already know, like, and trust you. You don't need to put on a show for them. They're open to you and they're much more apt to respond to you. So it's always smart to start there first. Now, you're also going to discover how to generate the preferred patients you want, whenever you want, at the price you want. Now, I know that's a big statement, but it really is possible. You know how much easier your job is when you're working with patients you enjoy versus those you don't enjoy because they zap your energy. Now, you know those patients that are demanding, they're rude to your staff, they freely negotiate with you with no shame, and they make you regret ever inviting them into your practice in the first place. You just don't need the extra hassle of undesirable patients. So we're going to fix that. You'll also discover how to implement a simple system so you can serve more patients without spending more money on staff or a fancier office. Now, there's nothing wrong with a fancier office, but it's expensive to create and maintain, and it's not necessary. And I'll show you why. You'll also have the option to expand now that predictable revenues are coming in if that's what you want to do. Now, some surgeons want to expand by moving into a larger office, or buying their own building, or opening satellite offices, and then some don't. Some surgeons prefer to keep it simple, but at least you'll have the option of deciding what makes more sense for you. You'll also discover how to add an extra 200K, 300K, even 500K to your bottom line, even if your revenues have been at a plateau for years. And you'll do that without spending more on advertising to attract a bunch of leads your staff has to follow up on that waste their time and waste your time when they don't show up for consultations. Or worse, they show up, but they say they have consultations with your competitors, so they can't commit. You don't need that aggravation. And lastly, you'll discover how to take your practice or med spa to high 6 or 7 figures while you enjoy more freedom to expand or relax. It's your choice. And isn't that the whole point of you being in business? To have the freedom to do it your way? So here's my promise to you. I want to give you a step by step strategy to 10x your revenues and attract a steady stream of high paying patients without spending a fortune on advertising or discounting your services. But before we get into all of that, let me just check in with you real quick. Does any of this sound familiar? Do you lose cosmetic patients and revenues to the ever growing number of competitors surrounding you, even though you believe you provide better results? By the way, that competition is not going away, and it's only going to get worse as government regulations increase and insurance reimbursements decrease, and as advancements in technology give patients so many more surgical and non surgical options. Now, that last point affects you big time because cosmetic patients will delay an expensive surgical procedure if they believe they can get a good enough result non surgically in the short run from a non surgeon, even if it ends up costing them more down the line. By the way, there are studies that show if you don't develop a relationship early with a patient who wants non surgical procedures, you won't get them when they are ready for surgery because they've developed a relationship with your competitor instead. Just saying. Are you also sick and tired of feeling you have to discount to attract new patients to your practice or med spa to bring in new business? Now, obviously, you know discounting hurts your bottom line and your profits, but it also hurts your image. But you don't know what else to do. And what about this one? Are your advertising costs going up, and you're just not sure how much longer you can keep going like this? As a matter of fact, I attended an internet marketing conference in Austin, Texas recently and learned that Facebook is raising their ad rates 30 to 80%, and Google ads are right behind them. Gosh, I've been around the marketing world long enough to know and remember when all of this online exposure was free to you because these internet platforms needed to first build an audience. And then once they did, they started charging for advertising. So, why are they raising their rates so dramatically? Because they can. And that is insane. Or maybe you're bringing in good revenue, but by the time you've paid for your marketing, staff, office, and equipment, there's virtually nothing left over for you. Because the sign of a successful practice is if you pay yourself a nice salary and you have money left over. And or maybe you're working way too hard and dealing with too much stress and hassle for what you're getting paid. Now, surgeons have said to me more than once that they didn't realize how much overhead goes into running a private practice, especially when they came from a hospital setting where everything was taken care of for them. So it can be a real eye opener when they go solo. Now, do you live in a constant state of uncertainty and fear that the government or a pandemic or the economy and or technology could put you out of business without a moment's notice. For example, most practices had at least a 2-month forced vacation in 2020 due to COVID shutdowns. Isn't that right? And it could happen again. The problem is we just don't know. And lastly, do you worry your risk and hard work won't pay off and you'll be working in your practice forever, feeling like you're never going to be able to retire comfortably? So you just keep doing what you're doing. Or maybe you want to work until you drop, and that's fine. But wouldn't you prefer having a choice rather than a choice being forced upon you? So, what's the real problem and how do you fix this? Well, one of the problems is too many ad agencies and internet marketers are promising you the world, but rarely do you see the results you were promised, so you're frustrated and skeptical, and for good reason. Now, if any of that sounds familiar, then I have good news for you because none of those are the real problem. Those are just symptoms. Now, the real problem is that you have not made the 5 shifts, and we're going to talk about exactly what those shifts are in just a moment. But for now, just know this. Once you make the shifts, you'll have peace of mind you need knowing you have an automatic system to attract a steady stream of cash paying patients you can count on to grow your revenues. You'll feel in control with a predictable and reliable plan to keep your revenues coming in month after month and all year long. If you've experienced killer months and then cricket months, you know what I mean. Now, this often happens because our industry can be cyclical. So it's important to have a plan to avoid those feast and famine periods that cause you angst. You'll no longer waste money on huge ad budgets selling specials that eat away at your profits, and isn't that the name of the game? The trick is to keep as much profit as possible while lowering your overhead, right? And then once you make these shifts, you lock out your competitors and make it impossible for them to steal your patients away because they're loyal to you and see you as the only choice as well as the best choice. It's like putting golden handcuffs on your patients so they wouldn't dream of going anywhere else. And you'll have an extra 200K, 300K, or more for family activities, hobbies, travel, whatever you like. That means you'll be able to take time off without stressing so you can actually enjoy yourself without worrying what's happening back at the office. And here's the best part once you make these shifts. You can go back to enjoying your work because you're able to scale and grow a sellable practice or med spa should you decide to exit in the future or not. It's your choice. Now, just in case you're not familiar with my work, I've been a marketing and business consultant to cosmetic practices since the year 2000. Now, my creative strategies have produced more than $21 million for my clients, and I've authored a book, and I speak internationally as well as nationally at medical conferences. I also have a podcast called Beauty and the Biz, and I train staff on how to convert callers and consultations. And a question I get often is where I'm based out of, and that would be Sausalito, California. Now, if you haven't visited yet, I highly recommend you visit in the fall when our weather is the best and take a helicopter or a seaplane tour to check out the incredible real estate as well as the views of San Francisco and the Golden Gate Bridge. It's breathtaking. Now, you may be asking how I discovered these 5 shifts that I'm going to talk about. The answer is after consulting with hundreds of cosmetic practices for more than 2 decades, I noted what the top cosmetic practices were doing that other less successful practices were not. And I shared this with my clients, and now they get unbelievable results because they made the 5 key shifts. And I'm going to walk you through all 5 of them in this presentation. Now, here's shift number 1. patient-centric versus money-centric. Now, when you shift your thinking from a one and done money grab event to a patience for life mindset, you win the long game because instead of thinking about your own bottom line and what's best for you, you think about what is best for your patient. This shift in thinking changes your perspective as well as your attitude about the services you provide. You now see and treat patients as family and friends. They see your practice as a friendly, safe haven. They trust you and your staff to take great care of them. That trust is what keeps them coming back again and again. Now, think about it this way: you cater to a very hungry audience of cosmetic patients who care about their appearance. They want to look good and feel great. So they have endless needs for a lifetime thanks to the aging process. Trust me, I know this one. So today, they may want Botox, but then down the road, they'll take a laser treatment and now they're ready for surgery. And then they'll actually go back to the non surgical treatments to keep their look fresh. This goes on for decades. So, commit to treating your patients like friends and family by giving them excellent customer service, and they'll stay with you for the long run. They'll also reciprocate by growing your revenues for you, by returning to you rather than your competitors, and by referring their friends, family, coworkers, and neighbors, and by giving you great online reviews that thousands of other potential patients will see online, and by sharing you on their social media platforms so their followers get to know you and contact you because now they're ready for your services. Think of your cosmetic patients as your lifeblood to all you want in life, such as a fulfilling livelihood that affords you a comfortable lifestyle that supports your family, your interest, as well as your financial future. I have to tell you, when you start looking at your patients in this different light, that changes everything. It changes your perspective as well as your attitude, and your patients feel that shift in you and they act accordingly. Now, here's shift number 2: drop the discounts. There are really only two reasons why you're not charging higher prices, or worse, why you're discounting your cosmetic services. Now, the first one is you think this industry is commoditized and your expertise isn't worth higher prices. Or you think you're going to lose patients to your lowballing competitors if you don't discount. But here's the thing: discounting does not work anymore. You'll end up attracting price shoppers who only care about a low price. You'll work way harder because you need more of these low price patients to make up the difference in the profits. And you'll deal with more issues from these penny pinchers who end up giving you bad reviews and complaining about your service or lack thereof. And frankly, it's a race to the bottom that you just can't win. So instead, you set higher standards to attract higher value cosmetic patients who gladly pay more for better customer service. Now, this group enthusiastically brags about you to their other high value friends, leaves you 5-star reviews, and they're a pleasure to work with. When you really get this, it changes everything. So rather than discount, you set higher standards for better customer service and processes so your patients have a wow patient experience every time. That's because you have enough revenues coming in to treat your patients better than if you are penny pinching on expenses and cutting back on the various things that patients will pay extra for, such as smooth processes and feeling special and getting special treatment. Now, in terms of your revenue goals, there's an easier or there's a harder way to get to $1 million. For example, you can cater to the price shoppers who are worth only 500 to you, so you need 2,000 of them. Or You can raise your standards, attract better patients who have the financial wherewithal to pay more for a better experience, and they also become your practice ambassadors who are worth 5,000 to you. So now you only need 200 of them. That is the secret to scaling and working less but getting better results. I sure hope you're hearing me on that one. Now, here's shift number 3. Use the secret weapon. Now, the majority of cosmetic practices and med spas go about attracting new patients and growing their revenues the wrong way. They typically do what everyone else is doing and then wonder why it's not working. Now, oftentimes, they don't even know if it's working or not because they have no easy way of seeing the results. Now, here's an example. The old traditional methods of getting new patients is to spend a ton of money on a new website design or an expensive website redesign or search engine optimization or blogging or backlinks or TV infomercials or PPC, otherwise known as Google AdWords, that can really take up your budget, or hiring a PR agency, or investing in magazine ads, or trying Groupon, God forbid, or investing in directories such as RealSelf, or buying billboards, or investing in charity events. Then you have to count on these outside vendors of all these groups to handle everything for you. But you have no idea if it's the best way or even if they did it correctly or at all. Then you have to decipher complicated reports they give you that are not easy to understand. So you actually have no clue what's happening and if this is money well spent because you can't track anything or most of it. And then here's the thing. Maybe you will get new patients, but that's what we call the hope and pray marketing approach. You hope it's money well spent, and then you pray you get new patients from it so you feel like you made a good investment. I'm sure you've been there before. Now, there is a better way, and here is the secret weapon. It's a creative loyalty rewards club that is the most powerful way to scale for predictable revenues without advertising or discounting, and while turning your existing patients into your raving fans who gladly grow your practice for you. So you no longer worry about slow spells and covering your overhead. It does all of this while developing lasting relationships with happy patients you and your staff enjoy working with. Now, here is how you use a loyalty reward system to 10x your revenues. You encourage your patients to return more often, refer their friends to you, give you great reviews that thousands of other prospective patients see online, and share you on social media with their own followers. This all leading to new patients for you organically without you spending an extra dime. So the new way is simple. You pull your entire list of existing patients, and it doesn't matter how long it's been since they've been in to see you. Many will return after being gone for many, many years. Now, you make a marketing plan to consistently stay in front of these patients so you're top of mind. And when they're ready, they choose you. Then you reward them for their loyalty and for helping you grow your practice and reputation online. For example, you make it fun for your patients to grow your practice for you by rewarding them when they return more often, refer their friends and family, write you a review, approve their before and after photos to be used in your marketing, share you on social media, shoot a video testimonial telling everyone how great you are and how much they love their result. And completing surgery can be optional. And when your patients collect enough rewards at different tier levels, they're rewarded with free cosmetic services. And isn't that what everybody wants? More cosmetic services. Now, I'd like you to meet Dr. Thompson and his wife, Sharon. Now, their cosmetic practice is in a very competitive area of New Jersey. They were concerned about spending several thousands of dollars every month on advertising to compete and attract new patients. But that was bringing them poor quality leads and wasting Sharon's time following up. They were also losing patients to their competitors who were discounting like crazy. So they implemented a raving fans club, and what happened next was pretty darn amazing. Within just 2 months of working together, they already made 169K on non surgical revenues, as well as getting 34 new signups, 14 new patient referrals, 7 Google reviews, and 5 social media shares that introduced them to new prospective patients online. Fast forward 7 months, and they increased their revenues to 450K of non surgical revenues, as well as 64 new patient signups, 38 new patient referrals, 10 Google reviews, and 18 social media shares. And they were thrilled to change the conversation from discounting to adding value, and their patients loved it. They were also able to discontinue expensive advertising. They did so well because they treat their patients like family and friends, and they wanted to thank their patients for their loyalty without cheapening their services. So this was a win-win for them and their patients. So let's do a quick recap. Now, at this point, we know that we must be patient-centric versus money-centric. Drop the discounting and use the secret weapon, which is the loyalty rewards program, to command that price point you want. Now, let's look at how to scale your practice using the resources you already have. So here's shift number 4. Retention is the new attraction. Because of intense competition and the internet and social media, it's gotten increasingly more difficult, more technical, more confusing, and more time consuming to attract new cosmetic patients. I'm sure you're painfully aware of that. So retaining your cosmetic patients has become the most direct route to more cosmetic revenues. And if you're not sure about that, consider these recent stats showing you how it costs 7 times more to attract new patients than to retain existing patients. And this is interesting. Loyal patients spend 67% more than new patients do. Now, my sources for this came from SEMrush and ProfitWell. And look at this. The average new patient conversion rate is only 5 to 20%, while the average existing patient conversion rate is a whopping 70 to 80%. And existing patients spend 31% more on their average order size value. Now, this makes sense because your existing patients, they already know you, they like you, they trust you, and they're much more open to your recommendations as well as your extra products or services that you offer. Also, a 5% increase in retention can increase your profits by 25 to 95% because you're no longer wasting money on needless advertising or hurting your profits by discounting. You're also not wasting a ton of time following up on bad leads. And on top of that, your conversion rate is so much better. So your valuable time is spent with patients who actually say yes rather than price shopper strangers who never book. And lastly, 46% of patients spend more after they join a loyalty program. And 83% of patients say a loyalty program will keep them coming back. This is how you leverage your time with your preferred patients who are worth 10 times more to you. And you stop wasting your time and money with those who nickel and dime you and then bolt for the next special deal from your competitors. Now, I'd like you to meet Dr. Duffy, who's in private practice in a very competitive area in Florida. Now, he wanted to increase his patients' lifetime value with surgical and non-surgical revenues so he could decrease discounting and advertising costs. Now, he also did not want to be the only revenue generator in the practice because he wanted more free time to spend with his family. So, to address his concerns, we implemented a raving fans club, and here's what happened. Within 6 months, he had 52 word of mouth referrals, 140 online reviews, 67 surgeries for a profit of over 1.3 million. By the way, they also had increased their patients' average value by 14%. Not bad. So let's move on to final shift number 5, and that is invest in expertise. Everyone should have a mentor or counsel that gives them new ideas and provides accountability. Now, in your case, your mentors were seasoned surgeons showing you the way of surgery, so they were your mentors. Now, in this case, we've been talking about the business and marketing side of surgery. So I'll bet there are new ideas forming in your head right now that would not be there if you hadn't taken the time for this presentation. So here's how it works. It starts with your mindset and your beliefs about what is possible. Then you take action and actually do something based on those beliefs. And then you get an outcome, which is typically an increase in your income, your happiness, and your satisfaction. However, if you're not happy with the revenues in your practice, that means you either need a new mindset, a new plan, or possibly accountability. So, frankly, you need an experienced mentor who can pave the way to your progress and show you the shortcuts. Now, all of the above is possible if and only if you're committed to growth. And just like you invested in becoming a surgeon, because trying to do that without proper training would be absolutely crazy. I mean, by the way, I personally have invested at least 140K in training and mentoring on the business and marketing side of plastic surgery. And every time it was a huge decision, as it was when you invested all that time and money to become a surgeon. Now, that investment pays for itself over and over, doesn't it? So the point is, don't go it alone. Find the best expertise out there and then spend what it takes to work with them. So I'd like you to meet Dr. Langdon. He runs a cosmetic surgery and laser center in Connecticut. Now, he has an established practice, so he wanted to cut down on his advertising and build up the med spa side of his practice. So we implemented the Raving Fans Club, and here are the amazing results he got. Last year, he signed up 256 new patients and increased his patients' spend by 35.38%. He also increased his patients' visits by 48.20%. Now, his total profits after costs were over 606K, and that was just on his non-surgical side of his practice. So, when I started this presentation, I promised to uncover how to 10x your revenues using the resources you already have without wasting time and money on advertising or discounting your services or performing on social media to gain followers. I also promised how to increase the number of visits, referrals, reviews, and shares on social media in a fun way so your existing patients enthusiastically grow your practice for you. I also promised to show you how to generate the preferred patients you want, whenever you want, at the price you want, and to have a system in place on autopilot so there's no need for additional staff. And with the option to expand now that predictable revenues are coming in, if that's what you want to do, or just relax and enjoy the increased revenues. Either way, the point is it's your choice. So to recap, here are 5 shifts that you need to make to win. Shift 1, patient-centric versus money-centric. Shift 2, drop the discounting. Shift 3, the secret weapon. Shift 4, retention is the attraction. And shift 5, invest in expertise. Now, these 5 shifts alone are enough to propel you to a multi-million-dollar practice you are more than proud of. So, here we are. Now you have a choice. You can stay stuck and keep throwing money at advertising that isn't working, and it's wasting your time on consultations that don't book. Or you can give up altogether and just watch your patients and revenue slip away, and now you can't get them back. But that is going to lead to more struggle, longer hours, and burnout, especially when new competitors open up shop nearby, which makes you even more vulnerable to losing patients to them. So you can go down that road, or if you're done with all of that and want a predictable and scalable way to more patients who gladly pay the price you ask and have the lifestyle and thriving practice you've always dreamed of while 10xing your revenues so you have more free time for your family and outside interests, then here's what I have for you. I've set aside time this week to speak with you personally about how you can apply these ideas to your practice today. So, whatever your biggest challenges are, I've seen it all and I know how to overcome them, just like I've helped all other surgeons do. Now, on this, we're going to do a phone session. We can craft a step by step game plan to hit your income goals for this year. Whether that's 50,000 a month or 500,000 a month, doesn't matter. And for attracting the exact patients you want to work with. Now, what am I going to charge for this phone session? The cost is absolutely free. Of course, there's always a catch when something is free. And the catch is this really isn't for everyone. You must be focused on cosmetic patients only, no insurance patients, and no paper charts. You must be digital and be able to save your patient list as an Excel file. And you must offer friendly customer service. Now, if you can say yes to those 3 points, then please book a session now. Now, you may be wondering why I'm doing this, and the answer is I do this because I love helping cosmetic practices achieve their goals, and I've committed to this for the last 22 years. So many practices struggle needlessly because they just don't know a better way, and I want to help with that. Now, I know that you too might want my help to transform your own practice. If so, we can discuss it to see if it's a good fit for both of us. And if it is, terrific. And if it's not, that's fine too. So to book that call, simply go to www.catherinemaley.com/apply. And I'll spell that for you. It's Catherine, C as in, or Catherine as in CATHERINE, Maley, M as in Mary, ALEY.com/apply. Now, spaces are very limited, so please sign up now. And when you click that link, you're going to see a calendar. I'd like you to select the day and time that works best for you. And then what's going to happen is you'll be redirected to a very short application form. Just fill that out and give me more information about you so I can prepare and research for our call so we spend our time wisely. Then what we'll do is jump on the call at the time you chose, and we can talk about how I can help you get to high 6 or 7 figures in your own practice. I promise you it's going to be the best 30 minutes you've spent working on your practice ever. Now, to wrap this up, I want to tell you about one more client of mine, and they're called Austin Weston. Now, it's an old established multi-surgeon practice in Virginia with tons of competition. They've had a big patient list, and they realized it would be probably faster, cheaper, and smarter to retain these patients than lose them to their competitors. So last year, they implemented a raving fans club, and they were quite pleased with their results. Look at this, listen to this, 456 new patient signups, 84 consultation requests, 81 reviews, 11 video testimonials, and over $1 million in non-surgical revenues. So to get results like that, go to catherinemaley.com/apply now to schedule your own call. Okay, hopefully you now see how you can make some simple shifts to 10x your own revenues using the resources you already have without advertising or discounting your services, but while simultaneously increasing the number of patient visits, referrals, reviews, and shares on social media. I really hope you got a lot out of this, and please be sure to go to catherinemaley.com/apply, and I look forward to speaking with you soon.
We hope you found valuable insight on this episode of Beauty and the Biz. For more episodes, tools, and Catherine's free book, visit www.catherinemaley.com. That's www.catherinemaley.com. And be sure to subscribe to get the latest practice building strategies delivered to you. And don't forget to share this Beauty and the Biz podcast with your staff and colleagues.